You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. Here is a Rebelpreneur concept. What if you made more money selling your business than running your business? I know a lot of people are listening. They're tuning in because they're wanting to start their business, or they have started it, or you're trying to scale your business to the next level of financial success, however you define success. But did you know that there's yet another plateau that you can achieve, and that is not in running your business the rest of your life, but actually selling your business. And if that appeals to you and that gives you something to think about, then you're going to love today's guest, because I'm speaking with an expert in that. Mike Finger is a successful small business owner, but over the last 25 years, Mike has bought, sold, and built multiple businesses. Building his first business, he says, was a rewarding challenge, but what really captivated him was selling his first business. So this is going to be a mind-blowing concept, and I look forward to digging into it with you. Mr. Mike Finger, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thank you, Ralph. Pleasure to be here.
The name of your company and your website is Exit Oasis. I really love the mental visual that name creates in my mind, and you help us out with a nice video of a man dancing around on the beach. That is a thing that I think that most business owners, or at least many business owners, have not considered, that it's not necessarily for them to build and scale their business and run it the rest of their life. Perhaps they're building something that they can sell for many times what they think the business can actually produce. And so you're the master at this. I'm not. I want to hear all about what you do and how you do it. First, tell us a little bit about how you got started in building your business, and then what was the wake-up moment when you realized that selling the business was more profitable for you than running it?
Ralph, I wish I could tell you that this was a rosy, happy, joyful story for me. But the reality for me is that I ran into the sell a business topic the way that most small business owners do. And the easiest way for me to tell you about that is to essentially tell you about the worst day I ever had as a business owner. I had grown my business for about 10 years. I did the traditional 18-hour day. I was a growth junkie. At that point, I had reached a level where I had 50 full-time employees. This was my first business. Had started it from scratch, and woke up one morning and looked in the mirror and essentially saw a crispy piece of toast looking back at me. I was done. I needed to do something else. And for me, I thought, okay, well, now I can look at selling this business. And I thought I had prepared myself, right? I had read articles that said things like small businesses sell for 1 to 2 times revenue. And so I had chased revenue for the last couple of years to get to the point where I thought I wanted to be, even if I exited at that low range of 1 times revenue. And so I dove deep into exploring selling my business. And then that really bad day I mentioned was about 2 months after that, when I hung up the phone which was probably the 3rd or 4th business broker, who told me, I can't help you. Your business is unsellable as it currently exists. Why don't you fix these couple things and call me back in 2 years? And I found myself sitting at my desk with this just empty feeling in my stomach, realizing that I didn't have a way out. I have since come to learn that experience is how most small business owners are introduced to the sell a business topic. It's something we don't think about until it pounds through our door and sits on our desks and screams at us. I was lucky. I was able to spend the next 4 years changing the business, learning hands-on what a business that's attractive to a buyer really looks like, and was able to actually sell that business successfully at the end of a 5-year period after that really bad day. That bad day was a low point for me, but it was an introduction to a topic that I'm fascinated by. And I've been lucky enough to repeat that experience several times myself, and now get the opportunity to help other owners do the same.
I really love your story because it's real, it's authentic, and I think it reflects something that a lot of business owners have not considered, especially solopreneurs, that at some point scaling your business reaches a limit and you just want to do something else for a variety of reasons. But if you have not structured your business with the intention that you're going to sell it one day, then it's very easily you could get to a place where you're trying to sell it and you realize it's not sellable in the condition that it's in. So, who do you work with? How do you, who are your prospects that would be good candidates for working with you, to learn how to structure their business so that it can be sellable if and when they choose to do so?
I'm an unapologetic small business guy. This is an industry that tends to chase bigger. I am one of those guys that starts to fog over when the business gets past a certain point. And so all of the businesses that I work with are small businesses in the truest sense of the word. I have clients right now that are, single person, scale up seasonally type businesses, to businesses that have, 20, 30, 40, employees. Even there, though, we're starting to creep to the top of the small business size. This is an industry where the larger you are, the longer the line of resources available for you are. And so our intent with Exit Oasis was to create a safe place where there are resources available for that truly small business owner that wants to learn to leave. And Ralph, the reality is you stole a little of my thunder because you said the key word, and the key word is intention. The key element to a sellable business is a business owner with the intention to create a small business that they can sell. That's where it starts, and everything comes from there.
Very important distinction. And just for clarity purposes, because I think that when we say small business, that can be a big range. And so what are we looking at in terms of size, either in annual revenue or employees or both? What would be the range of small business?
Well, of clients that I target, we're usually in the 5 million or less category, most of them in the 2 million or less category. Okay. And so we're still talking about an owner who is actively engaged. In most cases, still doing the 50, 60 hours a week. We focus the content to that owner because there is such a unique need, and quite frankly, because there is a massive marketplace for those owners, and they're regrettably underserved in this topic area.
Yeah. And there's a lot more of them, out there, micro businesses and small businesses.
Absolutely.
Is there a minimum, size business that, for it to be feasible to even talk about selling? Is there a minimum in your mind that a range that they need to be in first?
Well, I'm gonna hedge my bet on that a little bit. The answer is yes. I mean, the reality is if you don't reach a certain threshold in terms of cash flow and profitability, that it can become hard to actively look at the marketplace and find someone interested. But that said, we look for very basic characteristics in a business that a buyer might be interested in. And regardless of the size, if you have those characteristics, you're much more likely to find a buyer. If the business sits in your garage and you do it 2 hours a month, and it's tough to sell a hobby. Let's put it that way. It's tough to sell a hobby. But if we're talking about a real business and you have certain characteristics, your odds of selling increase dramatically.
So it all depends on, as you said, the intention and creating a business that is going to be most appealing to a particular kind of buyer, someone who is interested in acquiring the things that you have developed, whether it's a product, a service, a customer base, a territory. And those are going to be unique characteristics that are as unique as the kinds of buyers that a business might attract.
Absolutely. Every buyer is different. Every business is different. The good news is there's certain commonalities. There's certain basic elements that if they are in your business, your chance to sell is dramatically higher. Unfortunately for us as owners, sometimes those things get hidden. We're talking about an industry that glories in complexity, right? I mean, you go to search, sell a business online. Most owners get introduced to this topic by taking a deep dive into some terribly sophisticated technicality. They spend 3 hours at an employee stock ownership program seminar, or some narrow tool or technique introduces them to this topic. And the reality is there's 1,000 different ways to sell a business, but your business needs to be sellable. I mean, we forget the basic truth of only sellable businesses sell. And most of us as owners have a blind spot in this area, just unquestionably.
I think there's a couple of reasons why that is. First, I don't think a lot of business owners even have the luxury of thinking about selling the business. So they're just not aware, number one. And then secondly, which is what you're hitting on, is even if they do get in their mind the possibility of building a business that they can sell at some point, they don't know what they need to do. So that brings me to the next question. What's the biggest problem that you've experienced with the clients that you work with as to why most small businesses don't sell successfully?
When I first sat down and looked at this topic and looked at creating Exit Oasis, I characterized the problem this way, and that is, how do you sell medicine to people who don't know they're sick? Small business owners view this as a tomorrow topic, if they view it at all. This is something I can deal with tomorrow because right now this equipment isn't working. It's a topic that we keep pushing off, like I said earlier, until it forces its way through our office door. And let me share a couple simple statistics to help your listeners understand this as plainly as we can. Best data I can find available says that less than 20% of small businesses will ever sell successfully. However, a recent survey said that 78% of small business owners are planning to sell their business to fund their retirement.
Wow.
Think about the pain and disappointment and dead dreams represented by the gap in those two statistics. Many of us think we're going to sell a business, but we don't think about it, nor do we know how rare it is to actually be able to successfully sell. And so from my perspective, the answer to your question, what's the big problem? We wait and then we fail when it comes to this topic. The reality that we found is that even a small investment of time in this topic area for a small business owner creates a dramatic return on investment. But again, we're small business owners by DNA. It's really hard to get on that top 10 list because there's an awful lot of people knocking on your door. There's an awful lot of fires burning on your desk.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we become aware, and hopefully this conversation will really spark some awareness in our listeners, especially if you're in that 78% that are planning to sell your business to fund your retirement, and you have no clue, you have no idea what to do. What can someone like that begin to do? What should they start thinking about and doing today that would put them in a better position down the road for selling their business?
Absolutely. Well, first I want to tell them something they can stop doing. And that is, I think small business owners should forget about learning how to sell a business. Selling a business is a transaction, right? It's a negotiated contract between two parties. It's a highly technical process. The pieces are moving all the time. And the reality is that there's a rich industry of professionals out there that would like nothing better than to help you sell a sellable business. So we can forget wasting our time on how to sell. We don't need to learn about the SBA program or the ESOP. At this stage, if you're not at the I'm ready to sell stage, forget about how to sell. Instead, focus on the question of, will I be able to sell my small business? And that takes us to the question of what does a business that you can sell look like? So I'm going to cheat a little bit on my second point because I'm going to tell you to ask three simple questions. The first question you need to ask as a small business owner is, are my results desirable? And we got to not trick ourselves here, right? This isn't we make a lot of profit, but we invest it all back in the business type result. I'm talking about real tangible results that your business generates. Mm-hmm. Are they desirable? Do I, as a prospective buyer, look at your business and want what you have? Do I say, I got to get me some of that? If I don't, if your results aren't desirable, start by assuming you have an unsellable business, because that desire drives this process. If the results are desirable, your second question, can a buyer duplicate my results? Right? If the business and what you produce is a function of you sitting in the chair, and the results walk out the door when you walk away, it's not a sellable business. Mm-hmm. Last but not least, can I document my results? Do I have clean records? Can I prove it? If you can answer yes, honestly, to those three questions, you have a potentially sellable business. Problem is, Ralph, that most of us never ask those questions. Even people that dive into the conversation with the broker have never asked those questions. And it's one of the reasons why brokers that I talk to tell me that the average result is 9 out of 10 business owners that they talk to have unsellable businesses. Only 1 out of 10 conversations are with a business owner that they can potentially look at selling. So it's about taking a simple approach. And again, that's tough in this industry that's defined by complexity. But it's diving in and looking at those basic characteristics that create sellability in a business.
Those are incredibly useful questions, little diagnostic questions to ask yourself. Are you in a position? And if you're not in a position now, what is it going to take to get you to a place that you can create a sellable business. And this is part of the Rebelpreneur mindset. It's building the business you need so that you can live the life that you want. And if building that business up to a certain point so that you can sell it enables you to fund the life that you want, then this is something that every business owner needs to pay attention to. So you talked about, Mike, can a buyer duplicate my results? And I hear a lot of people in my mind right now saying, well, I'm a small business owner. I'm a service provider. I'm a coach. I'm a consultant. And if I get hit by the proverbial bus tomorrow, my business is over with. So this does not apply to me. And I'm saying, expand your thinking a little bit. This is exactly what this type of exercise is designed to get you to do. Figure out, how do you make your business so that it runs without you? Even though you may be in a service business, you may be a coach, you may be a consultant, but look at the legacies of some of the greatest coaches and consultants that we know of. Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Stephen Covey. These were also coaches, consultants, authors, but they turned their intellectual property into a thriving business, creating results, creating training programs for people. And those enterprises continue on today, long after they have already gone on to their eternal reward. You can do the same thing. And Mike is giving you some of the questions that you need to ask yourself so that you don't end up in that 78% thinking that you're going to fund your retirement by selling your business and then you find out that you can't, or worse, making the mistake that because the business depends upon me, there's no way I could create a duplicatable result for anyone else. So this conversation doesn't apply. It absolutely applies, and it is essential. Mike, how would working with someone like you really improve a small business owner's chances of success as opposed to, trying to figure all of this out by themselves?
I think the hardest part about this topic from a pragmatic perspective is that it has no advocate, right? If there's a crack on the sidewalk in front of your door, every customer that comes in tells you about it. If there's a problem with payroll, employees tell you about it. If your website is down, your clients are complaining. Every issue that we deal with as owners has an outside advocate that we have to juggle. This one doesn't. And so part of what I bring to the clients I work with is that advocacy for the future business owner, right? I'm essentially representing the goals and desires of that business owner 2, 5, 10, 12 years down the line. And Ralph, what you shared just a minute ago, I agree with 100%. But here's the additional dirty little secret. The best business to own is one that's ready to sell. Mm-hmm. Because when we start looking at those components, if a buyer can duplicate my results, that means it's not dependent on me, which means that I'm probably able to go to my kid's soccer game every once in a while.
Yes.
Right? I mean, those elements that create a business that I can sell, create a fabulous business to own. And that's the beautiful thing about what I do is I'm not a broker. I ultimately don't care if the owner sells their business if they're achieving their goals for that business. If they're getting out of that business what they want, fabulous. If as we change towards a business that we can sell, quite often that becomes a business that we want to own forever. And so it's the ability to advocate for that goal. Most clients that I work with, Ralph, don't talk to anyone else about this topic because you ask yourself, who do you talk to about it? And you can't talk to your banker about it because you just asked them for an increase in the line of credit. You could talk to your attorney about it, but who can afford that, right? I mean, there's and so that's part of the gap that we look to fill there is that constant reminder of this is the goal you set. How are the decisions that you're making taking you closer to that goal?
I love those distinctions, and reminds me of something Michael Gerber said many years ago, that if you don't sell your business, then you're buying it. And the question is it worth the price that you're paying?
That's a great thought. Yeah, right. And again, we all experience pain as business owners. I'm terribly sympathetic to that small business owner starting out. I've been there several times myself. We do that work with pride. We carry those scars with pride, but at some point, we have to stop doing those things and change the way that we approach the business if we are serious about transitioning at some point.
Mike, how can our listeners reach out to you? I know you've got some great resources on your website, Exit Oasis. What do you offer on there for people who are interested in digging into this topic and beginning to wrap their heart and their mind around this opportunity?
Yeah, we've got a free weekly newsletter designed where we curate the best content we find online around this topic. Again, we're looking to do the work that allows you as a small business owner to consume some great insights about this topic and learning more about changing your business. We have a course online called Will I Be Able to Sell My Small Business? And Ralph, I want to offer a free code to your listeners. If they enter Rebel when they register for that course, I'm going to give them that course for free because, again, what we're looking to do is to help small business owners learn to leave. So REBEL will get your listeners free access to what's normally a $99 online course. And then, again, the content that we have on the webpage is the other opportunity for them to connect.
I think that is an incredible value, and I really think you are definitely an articulate advocate for what you're doing. It shows. I appreciate the energy and the wisdom that you have shared with us today. And I think it really elevates our consciousness to consider something more than just working day in and day out and not having a plan, but we can actually plan an Exit Oasis. I love that branding, love that name, love the concept. So this has really been educational and fun. Mike, any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you would like to leave us with?
Just to echo what we talked about earlier, Ralph, don't wait. This is not a topic that this is a topic that helps only you as the small business owner. This is an investment in what you hope to accomplish when you look at your business. And again, exits can happen for good and bad reasons. You find yourself with a new opportunity, but you can't take advantage of it until you leave your existing business. It's really nice to know you've created a business that you have transferable value in. So don't wait. Engage the topic. I think you'll be glad you did. Learn to leave.
Yes. Mike Finger is a successful small business owner. Over the last 25 years, he has bought, built, and sold multiple businesses. And according to him, building his first business was a rewarding challenge, but what really captivated him was selling his first business. And now he helps business owners learn to leave. Not lead, but leave. I love that play on words, and I appreciate you being on the show today, Mr. Mike Finger. Thank you so much for your wisdom, for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Truly my pleasure.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.